Arsenal's players are thriving after more international break excellence and a return against Fulham around the corner. Today we'll get the breaking news regarding Arsenal captain Martin Odegaard, as well as breaking down a Martin Zubimendi masterclass. We'll also reveal the surprising news regarding Kai Havertz and get a massive update on the potential pursuits of Bournemouth's Antoine Semenyo. Yo, what is going on, guys? My name is Bass14. Welcome back to your boys' channel, and I hope you guys are doing sensational and surviving during the international break, where some Arsenal players are definitely thriving. As per, smash a like on this video if you do enjoy it, and subscribe to the channel if you are new, as your boy is closing into 250,000 subscribers. Quite literally sensational scenes. But starting off with Arsenal's midfield masterclass, the player in question being Martin Zubimendi, fresh after winning the September Premier League Goal of the Month award after a screamer against Nottingham Forest. His form for Arsenal had been superb, and now it's translating to the international level. With Man City's Rodri ruled out from the international break, Zubimendi was once again given the platform to showcase his excellence on the international scene. Starting as Spain beat Georgia 2-0, playing as a number 6 and dropping a 7.8 SofaScore rating, 91 passes completed, 61 in the opposition half, as well as 7 out of 7 accurate long balls. Defensively also superb, 2 tackles won, 5 out of 5 ground balls and 2 out of 2 in the air. This was quite literally the complete midfield number 6 performance, becoming the heartbeat of the Spanish national team. Every single move was going for Zubimendi, he was so involved. And it also showcases the evolution of a player that is now growing into one of the best in the world, to take over a role that was once played by a Ballon d'Or winner. We saw it in Euro 2024, he came off the bench, helping Spain beat England in that Euros final. But now we are seeing a player come into his own. Natural confidence to play as a number 6 and anchor the team, as well as always being available off the ball to receive it and find passes forward. Zubimendi is becoming the ultimate prober, a player that has a consistent eye to play line-breaking passes, and also one that was very highly in demand. From the likes of Liverpool failing to sign him in 2024, to even Real Madrid entering the scene in 2025. But Zubimendi picked Arsenal, and when asked on why he wanted to join Arsenal, Zubimendi said, "I'd watched Arsenal and I liked everything that I saw. In terms of the passion, youth and the feeling you got watching them, they were perfect for me." Going on to also say, "Well, Mikel Arteta called me. Well, if you've ever spoken to him, you'll know that he can be very convincing." Arriving to a brand new league and fitting in straight away, Zubimendi is not only becoming one of the best midfielders in the Premier League, but alongside Declan Rice, he is pushing the Arsenal record signing to a brand new level, allowed to play a more box-to-box role, with Zubimendi in charge of the build-up phase. As Rice said after England's win against Wales, "I think now I'm more of a box-to-box number 8. The manager Mikel Arteta has adjusted my position at Arsenal a bit this year, giving me more freedom to drop deep, but also get into the box when I can." And that's where you can't underestimate the importance of Martin Zubimendi. A natural player when it comes to setting the tempo of play, has only further maximised Rice's athletic ability, allowing him to go forward with freedom, knowing that he's got a player alongside him at one of the highest levels in all of Europe. The more that you start to think, the more that you start to wonder, if this is Zubimendi now entering the peak of his powers, how much more can he improve in a year's time? Starting for Spain week in, week out, but also working alongside Mikel Arteta. Then you had the other Arsenal players thriving on international duties, as Gabriel Magalhaes started for Brazil once again, after smashing 5 goals for South Korea, a 7.1 SofaScore rating with 5 recoveries and 69 accurate passes. The real focus of course came after the game, as Gabriel posted a photo on his Instagram of him looking over a dejected Heung-min Son, which of course rattled the entire Spurs fan base, which Gabriel clearly loves to do. But after being left on the bench for the following game, Brazil managed to bottle a 2-goal lead. After a mistake from centre-back Fabrizio Bruno, Japan ended up winning 3-2, further showing how important Gabriel Magalhaes is to Brazil. But in a game that you also had a start for Gabriel Martinelli. Despite initial talk that he could be starting as a striker, that may have been Vinicius Jr., but Martinelli was still on the score sheet after a lovely run in behind, and a fantastic finish on his weaker left foot. Under a brand new manager Carlo Ancelotti, playing Martinelli far closer to goal, as this goal shows perfectly. That's where Martinelli thrives best. But you also had a start for Jurrien Timber once again, starting as centre-back alongside Virgil van Dijk, with Mickey van der Ven push the left-back. As Netherlands beat Finland 4-0, Timber again imperious with a 6.9 rating, 2 interceptions, 2 recovery, and 56 accurate passes. But if you're going to focus on the standout defender over this international break, you have to look at Arsenal's Riccardo Calafiori. Starting for Italy in a back 3 as he smashed 3 goals past Estonia, alongside Bastoni and Di Lorenzo, Calafiori was a standout defender on the day with a 7.7 SofaScore rating, 3 tackles, 5 clearances, 5 recoveries, 7 of 8 aerial duels won, as well as a whopping 79 accurate passes. Even in a role so different to Arsenal, Calafiori is still finding ways to thrive, the example of becoming the complete defender, not only looking secure defensively, but going forwards adventurous, creating even 2 chances, despite playing as a centre-back in a back 3. For the player that was nominated as Arsenal's August Player of the Month, a strong start to the season was definitely made, but more importantly Calafiori has been available, leaving Mauro Skelly on the bench, a player that also signed in 2024 with the idea of him being a consistent starter. Lastly, the problem was injuries, but this year, touch wood, that seems to be behind it. Then you had Arsenal's Christian Mosquera, called up to the Spain under-21 squad, but left on the bench as they beat Norway 4-1. But after a fantastic start to life for Arsenal, Mosquera has been speaking, saying, "I feel great at the club and in the city. From the first moment that Arteta spoke to me, I had no doubts about going to Arsenal. There's an incredible group of players, plus there's a lot of Spanish speakers who have helped me adapt. When I signed, I knew I was going to face Gabriel and Saliba, two world-class stars, but that was the club's idea, to have players competing for every position, to go as far as possible." But now all eyes turn to the Arsenal captain Mosquera and Odegaard, after suffering another injury against West Ham, but this time to his knee. Despite not being able to play for Norway, he was spotted as a spectator watching in the crowd as Norway qualified for the World Cup, followed by crazy scenes after the game, where the captain could not even stand to join the celebrations. A bit of a heartbreaking scene for a guy that is so important to Norway, the captain of his country that's been so integral in getting them to World Cup 2026. Then we got the breaking news from Sammy Mokbel, confirming that the Arsenal captain Mosquera and Odegaard is not expected to return to action until after the November international break, set to miss a minimum of 9 key games for club and country. For Arsenal in games that Odegaard could be missing, you've got Fulham, Atletico Madrid, Crystal Palace, Brighton, Burnley, Slavia Praha and Sunderland. And again, it just breaks your boy's heart. The idea of the Arsenal captain finally returning, starting alongside Eberechi Eze. And just like that, we're robbed of the opportunity. As hard as it is to take, it's also a further indication of why Arsenal signed Eberechi Eze, a number 10 that's not able to play in Odegaard's role, to become the Arsenal creative hub, but also maybe a chance for Ethan Nwaneri. When you talk about Arsenal's most similar profile to Mosquera and Odegaard, in 2025-26 we have seen an Ethan Nwaneri evolution, far better in terms of linking up play, acting as the connecting player from the midfield to the attack. In every single one of Nwaneri's cameos so far this season, I have seen so many Mosquera and Odegaard traits, and the prime example of that was a stand-up performance with the England under-21s, beating Moldova 4-0 as Nwaneri dropped an 8.2 SofaScore rating, with 2 assists, 1 big chance created and 3 key passes, as well as 5 out of 7 successful dribbles. We're watching a player take another leap in terms of development, showcasing an ability to understand tempo, when to play risky passes in behind and when to not, learning from Mosquera and Odegaard and improving his game, where in 2024-25, we also saw Nwaneri as a world-class shooter from outside the box. We are now seeing him entering his creative bag, a player trying to become a world-class number 10, as well as having number 8 capacity. This performance for England was definitely very impressive. So yes, the Mosquera and Odegaard news is heartbreaking, but with the availability of Ethan Nwaneri and Eberechi Eze, if Mikel Arteta wants to go for it and have 2 number 10s, Nwaneri is a profile he can definitely turn to. But talking about injuries and one player that has not gone to the international break, we have got a fantastic quote from Noni Madueke after watching Bukayo Saka thrive for England starting as the right winger. As Madueke says, "Bukayo is not competition. He's a teammate for both England and Arsenal. I study his movement control and decisions in training. He is different, one of the best wingers in that position. Our goal is clear, to win trophies and take Arsenal to the top," which is exactly what you want to hear. An Arsenal player that is not phased a single bit. We know that Bukayo Saka is special, but having a player the quality of Madueke now behind him, as soon as he returns, Arsenal will finally have an option to rotate with, pushing Bukayo Saka to an even higher level. But moving on to Arsenal's forward developments, after a fantastic start to 2025-26, Arsenal of course top of the Premier League, as shown with the XG philosophy in terms of best attacks from XG created this season. Arsenal ranked number 2nd, ahead of Chelsea, Liverpool and Man City, but only behind Man United. Now them being number 1 is definitely a surprise, but for Arsenal to be ahead of the likes of Liverpool and Man City, when it comes to creating chances this season, it's a very positive sign. Without Bukayo Saka and Mosquera and Odegaard for so many games, the signs are definitely promising, with the arrival of a brand new number 14 in Victor Gyokeres, and here he was receiving yet another award, this time the UEFA Nation League's top goal scorer, after scoring 9 goals in 6 games with 4 assists, a player that was wanted by Andrea Berta signed for Arsenal, and as revealed by Fabrizio Romano, at one point Sporting were pushing and offering Gyokeres to Man United, and to get the deal done with less money than what Arsenal offered, but with more bonuses. The problem was Gyokeres didn't want to move to Manchester. His dream was always Arsenal. A dream that of course came true, arriving at Arsenal with so much hype, despite being 6 games without a goal. As Christian Mosquera says on Gyokeres, he is a beast, he's an animal. Training with him helps defenders improve. So after another start for Sweden in the World Cup qualifier against Switzerland, playing alongside Alexander Isak in the front two, Gyokeres dropped a 7.2 SofaScore rating, with 1 big chance created, 2 key passes and 13 accurate passes. This wasn't a game where we saw Gyokeres at his goal scoring best, but his link-up play was definitely very impressive. Take for example this moment here, a ball fired into him outside the box, Gyokeres finds a lovely one-touch pass in behind, as Sweden create a massive chance for Alexander Isak that somehow he ends up missing. Then in the following game, Gyokeres was once again a starter, playing alongside Alexander Isak against Kosovo, as Sweden lost 1-0, with Gyokeres now over 500 minutes without scoring a goal. But with no Gabriel Jesus or no Kai Havertz, Gyokeres has become Arsenal's undeniable starter. But according to Hassan Khan, it is understood that if it wasn't for Kai Havertz's injury, he would have started the campaign as Arsenal's number 9 and not Victor Gyokeres, who was identified as someone who needed time to bed into a new league system and environment. which makes you start to question, once Kai Havertz returns, are we going to see Victor Gyokeres rotating? Because after the Hand of Arsenal retweet that caused mayhem in the Arsenal fanbase online, reposting a video of Kai Havertz from 2024, some fans started to wonder, was a return around the corner? Despite no actual confirmation, the Hand of Arsenal has been known for this in the past, retweeting stuff and dropping hints when something is about to happen. And having seen the impact of Havertz as Arsenal starting number 9, during the run-in of 2023-24, 14 games played with 17 goal involvements, 9 goals scored and 8 assists. When you think about Arsenal being even more creative this season, the arrival of Gyokeres and Arsenal playing far more direct, the question then becomes, when Havertz is back from injury, could we see a return to that level of form? Despite not being as natural as a goal scorer as Victor Gyokeres, when it comes to providing Arsenal an outball, a player you can go long to and win his aerial duels, that is something that Kai Havertz can definitely offer. But you also then have to put into perspective, this is less a question of Kai Havertz or Victor Gyokeres, and more about the game states, two forwards that are very different in terms of how they play as centre forwards. Kai is more of a natural false 9, dropping deeper, linking up play, whereas Gyokeres is more of a goal threat, pushing teams further back, making more space for Bukayo Saka and Gyokeres. In certain games that Arsenal will need a goal, you could see Kai Havertz play alongside Victor Gyokeres, because even though they both play as number 9, they do it in very different ways. So with the return of Kai Havertz and maybe even Semenyo and Kepa, as soon as the international break is over, you also have the breaking news regarding Antoine Semenyo, a player in demand by many Arsenal fans, having now been named the PFA Fans Player of the Month for September. According to Ben Jacobs, Antoine Semenyo's new Bournemouth contract contains a release clause. The 25-year-old held talks with Tottenham and Manchester United before signing a new 5-year deal last summer. Liverpool are also admirers, and as revealed by Alex Crook, Semenyo does have a release clause in his Bournemouth contract. The exact terms of the clause are being kept on the wraps. However, Bournemouth value him north of £75 million. Liverpool won't be the only team in the race though. Having just signed Alexander Isak and Hugo Ekitike, would they have to sell a player before making a signing? In the case of Arsenal, as it's always been known, Semenyo is a massive fan of the club, which, as we saw in the race for Gyokeres, can play a massive part in getting a deal over the line. Another player that Arsenal of course signed back in summer 2025 was Kepa Arrizabalaga, but now according to reports in Spain, Como manager Cesc Fabregas is looking for a goalkeeper for Como in the winter market, and his number 1 target is Arsenal Spaniard Kepa Arrizabalaga, a deal that made a lot of sense at the time. £5 million for a Premier League experienced goalkeeper. It was a bit of a no-brainer, but when you have the quality of a goalkeeper that can be a starter, maybe not at Arsenal Football Club, other teams are going to be looking, and that's where Arsenal can definitely make a profit. Whatever you make of Kepa as a player, £5 million was definitely a bit of a bargain for a player signed down to a long-term Arsenal contract. If a team like Como wants it, Arsenal could easily flip the player for profits. But then you had the news regarding a former Arsenal star, as Super Jackie Wilshere entered the managerial scene, was announced as the new manager of Luton Town FC, the last team to score 3 goals against Arsenal back in 2023, but now playing in League One, as a former Arsenal man says, taking his first full-time managerial role. When I spoke to Mikel Arteta maybe a year ago, I said to him, "When did you know that you were ready?" He laughed and said, "You just have to jump in and swim as hard as you can." A man that broke into the Arsenal scene back in 2010. We saw the performance against Barca in 2011, and now he's becoming a manager. Your boy is low-key starting to feel a bit off. It feels like a full circle moment for me. I was 8 when I first came into Luton as a boy, so I guess you could say it's fate that my first full-time club managerial position is at this club. Looking at Mikel Arteta as major inspiration for a man that arrived at Arsenal back in 2020, but has now become 10th in terms of longest-serving managers in Premier League history, a reign lasting 5 years and 9 months, behind the likes of Rafa Benitez, Jurgen Klopp, Pep Guardiola, Alex Ferguson, and of course Arsene Wenger. Whatever you make of Arsenal Football Club, Mikel Arteta has definitely been given time. So in the year where Arsenal need to get themselves over the line, the stats are starting to look in our favour. Not only number 1 in the Premier League after a tough start to the season, but we're looking at the top 5 leagues XG for and against so far. Arsenal are one of the best teams in Europe, defensively on par with Bayern Munich, but also ahead of the likes of Real Madrid and Liverpool when it comes to XG4. But that is the video there and there, so hopefully you guys have enjoyed. If you have, don't forget to smash a like and also subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you want to follow your boy on the social medias, the links are down below in the description. But that was all of your latest Arsenal news today. As the return of Arsenal gets closer and closer, I can't wait. I want to fast forward to that right now. But for now, let's hope our players can stay fit and available and maybe even see the return of Kai Havertz. My friends, I'll see you next time. Take care and in a bit.